Welcome to the show today. Lots of stats, numbers, and finally some solutions for you. It's time for the 2026 June housing market update. Lots to do. Let's go.
How to Buy a Home educates, protects, and connects first-time homebuyers to qualified vetted realtors in their area. Whether you're looking for DIY information or step-by-step guidance, How to Buy a Home is the #1 resource for first-time homebuyers.
What is up, my How to Buy a Homies? David Sidoni, your first-time homebuyer coach. We're going to end your confusion and bring you clarity on what's happening in the housing market right now. And here's the big spoiler alert. June 2026, what's happening? Nothing. Here are the highlights from 2026 so far. People have been sitting around waiting 3 years to see mortgage interest rates get below 6%. And at the end of February in 2026, bam, rates dropped to 5.99%. And the result? Nothing. And then there's these two stats. In 2026, nearly 40% of potential home sellers, they say that they are planning on offering concessions to buyers. That means they're going to offer you cash credits for your closing costs and your down payments. And that's up a whopping 10%. Last year, it was 30%. But at the exact same time that sellers are 10% more likely to offer you a concession, the median sales price of new homes, it jumped up 8%. From March to April, it went from $391,100 to $422,500. So that means sellers are making concessions, getting deals for buyers, while at the same time, the prices are increasing. So mathematically, the net, that's a wash. So once again, the mathematical real result is actually nothing. And all year, I've been getting these emails and texts and questions. Hey, Sidoni, dude, there's a war in Iran. There are crazy spike in gas prices. That has increased mortgage interest rates. So what's changed? Things have got to, get better for us buyers, right? No. Since that 8% increase over the last few weeks, no big change in the number of homes sold, no big change in the home prices. They're basically flat now at plus or minus 1%. Another big fat nothing. That one's really weird because for the last few years, interest rates, they are totally affecting the housing market. When rates shoot up, the demand to buy homes, it slowed way down. And usually, historically, when rates lower, the demand, it'll pick up because things are more affordable. So being the ultimate real estate data nerd that I am, I have been furiously scouring all the resources that I look at all the time to see what the hell is going on. And I found this crazy report from HousingWire. For most of 2026, mortgage interest rates, they're hovering around 6.25%. Then in May, bam, suddenly they shot up to 6.75%, a half a point jump. That's big. And usually when they jump that much, that quickly, historically, that's a big slowdown in housing. But do you know what did happen? The number of home sales is almost 10% above what they were last year. And the inventory, it's increasing, not dropping. And the data from the U.S. Federal Housing Finance Agency shows that home prices are still rising, not by much, only 0.46%. And even half of the U.S. major metropolitan cities, they're showing slight under that 1% declines in their prices. Plus 4.6%. And some homes going down less than 1%. What's that work out to with math? Basically, nothing. Flat results from a big change in interest rates. The HousingWire report said this, quote, that suggests sellers are increasingly adjusting to affordability realities earlier in the transaction cycle rather than later. The result is the housing market that is continuing to transact despite elevated borrowing costs. It's happening, unquote. I added the it's happening part, but the results of the housing market, it's still going on even though interest rates are way up. This is the data for these crazy anomalies right now. Here at How to Buy a Home, from 2019 to October 2023, we had thousands of first-time homebuyers buy homes with the unicorn teams. Or some of them, they reported to us that they took all the information here and they went and did it with their own person or they did it on their own. Awesome. So we had that data. We knew what was happening. But then in October 2023, interest rates hit 8% and we saw it firsthand. Millions of would-be first-time homebuyers put the brakes on their plans. So did they give up forever? No. And now it's almost 3 years later. Man, they are chomping at the bit. Since that time, 3 years ago, prices haven't gone up that much at all. And rent, it's sucking the life out of people. And the more they get sick of waiting, the more that they do their own research and they find these affordable solutions. And some of them are finding those options and they're getting deals done. To most first-time homebuyers, they pull back and they don't do research, so they're hidden to them. But the deal is, the demand didn't go away. In fact, after 3 years, it's even stronger now. Think of a dam trying to hold back the water and it's just about to break. Well, after 3 months, it's really starting to crack, right? We're at 3 years now. Pent-up buyers who paused their home buying. And of course, the one thing they needed to get fixed hasn't gotten fixed: the supply. Say it with me now. What's the one thing that is a primary factor that affects the entire housing market? Say it. Low inventory. Yeah, it's simple supply and demand. We are still 4 million homes short of the demand that we need to just keep up with the population of buyers. So to all the buyers that are out there waiting, I have been studying this 24/7, 365. I've been really digging in since the great wait of 2023 in October when rates hit 8%. And one thing is clear. Right now, the demand is not being met. But the data shows us there's not going to be a lightning bolt moment in 2026 where the gates of opportunity open for first-time home buyers. Nope. Where we are right now, I'm going old school, going back to my girl Elsa. We are frozen with no giant drops in prices or interest rates predicted. So if that's what you're waiting for, you know what I'm going to say. You got to let that go. All I'm seeing are these nothing results. The data is telling us the housing market is frozen. And for most aspiring, wannabe, hopeful first-time homebuyers, that means, unfortunately for them, they're going to stay where it's safe, renting. But this frozen market out there, it has created opportunities for prepared buyers. And they're out there and they're buying, and they are finding affordable options. So let me break down some numbers for you, and then I'm going to share the solutions that your normal, everyday, blue-collar to middle-class to white-collar people, first-time home buyers, they're finding affordability despite all this weird and kind of opposite data. I understand it's high prices and high rates, but when you do the research, people are still buying. What's happening? Well, let's start with the very conservative standard numbers on the income needed to buy a home today. Interest rates this week, as I'm recording this, they've been 6.6%. So I'm going to take that and a 10% down payment and zero in your debt. Most of you probably have a little debt, but if you had zero debt, here's the income you need to buy a home. A $300,000 home, you and your partner need to approximately make $78,000 a year. $400,000 home, just over six figures, $104,000 a year. And a $500,000 home, $130,000 a year of annual income. Now, these are national average qualification numbers, the standard they set. And those requirements, they're going to change because each area is going to have different taxes and insurance that go into your full payment, what we call your PITI, principal, interest, taxes, insurance. But most importantly, remember, these are standard calculations. It is not an absolute for sure. You got to make this, or there's no way you can buy, because there are a lot of people that are finding solutions below this generic standard requirement. And that's thanks to partnering with a first-time homebuyer specialist, both a realtor and a lender, who can show you how you can negotiate and get some money back. And the lender can show you different loan options where you can get creative and more affordable ways to afford a home. Now, here's the big tip. A lot of you may have heard that number and thought, well, I don't earn enough income. That should never stop you from planning. And this is why. Because first, I just told you those are standard calculations, and the right team can help you find creative solutions that might be less. And second, and much more important, make sure you hear this, because that's the standard for exactly today. If home prices or interest rates change, then the income requirement changes too. Nothing in housing is set in stone. Affordability is fluid and it changes with market fluctuations. So waiting to start your planning until you hit a certain number, I don't know what to call it, except it's just silly because the numbers could change tomorrow and maybe you'd qualify, but you haven't done the preparation, so now you can't buy. For instance, it seems that all buyers on the sidelines, they are obsessed with mortgage interest rates. I cannot say this one with more emphasis, more importance, or more fire. If that's you, stop it. Just stop it. You're crushing your own dream. First of all, interest rates are only one part of your economic picture. They're only one factor that makes up your monthly payment. A killer loan officer who actually gives a damn about first-time home buyers and specializes in what you do can show you dozens of creative options and strategies that are going to save you money in a myriad of ways. And they're also going to show you competitive rates that make buying your first home affordable. And secondly, interest rates change. And I'm talking they change on the daily. In the last 2 weeks, we've seen rates as high as 6.75. And as I'm recording this today, they're at 6.56. On a $500,000 home with 10% down, the difference between 6.75 and 6.56 is $63. But I know people are sitting around going, oh, it was 6.75. It went to 6.56. I just got to wait till it gets below 6.5. Then I can afford it. I always try to tell these people, have you done the math? Because even though 6.56 is being reported today as the national average, the difference between 6.75 isn't that much. And FHA buyers, today, you could get an FHA loan with a 3.5% down payment, and they're reporting national average at 6.1%. And our military and veterans, you can get a VA loan for 6.1%. Those are the national average. And keep in mind, the national average doesn't mean that you're going to get that loan. You can get lower. Strong credit buyers are landing conventional loans and especially FHA loans and VA loans, some of them in the fives. And we'll continue with the obsession on interest rates because I know some of you just got to hear it all. This year, they've bounced from 5.99% to, like I said, 6.75%. And a lot of that's happening because of concerns about inflation, the oil prices, the war, and geopolitical uncertainty, and basically economic mayhem. And at the end of May, here's what's going on right now. There's a lot of economic buzz about the Fed possibly raising, not cutting, the FUD rate. FUD rate? The Fed rate. And that's due to increased inflationary concerns. It's getting real. Tariffs are starting to come in, and the blowback on that is starting to happen. But most importantly, they're following the data. And I'll even get super nerdy for you. Reporting that the one economic factor that most dictates where mortgage rates go, because I've been watching the 10-year Treasury bond. It has been on a steady incline all year. And the spread, it's not working great for mortgage interest rates. If you're thinking about just trying to time it perfect right now, just be careful because there is some data at the end of May showing that rates could go up again. So your big tip, when mortgage rates go up, they go up quickly. And when they come down much slower. And right now, with prices flat, similar to where they've been for the past 3 years, you can use the same techniques that buyers did from 2023, 2024, and 2025. And that's when interest rates were 6.5, 7, and 8%. It's math, gang. It's the same equation. And when rates were at 7 and 8%, at pretty much the same prices, we had hundreds of buyers that found affordable options. You can click the interview episodes in the episode guide. We'll put that in the show notes, and you'll hear real people sharing their stories that are unbelievable because, unfortunately, this isn't being taught everywhere. You'll hear real world examples of how people found affordable options in what mathematically are worse markets than the one that we're in 2026. And if you're really into studying and researching the loan stuff, check the episode guide. I've got, 15 or 20 different episodes on mortgages and loans. Back to 2026. Nothing major happening this year, but that means great opportunities that you can pounce on because most first-time home buyers, they don't have me in their ear holes and they don't know all the incredibly exciting and truly practical tactics that aren't being taught to first-time home buyers across the country. Or for that matter, It's not being taught to the realtors and lenders that are supposed to be guiding those people. So I'll give you some of the solutions today, but you know what? I have gone really in depth this year with the podcast episodes. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put a list of 16 2026 episodes in the show notes. If you figure they're about 30 minutes a pop, that means in just 8 hours, hell, it could be 6 hours if you listen to me at 1.25 speed, or 4 hours if you go full chipmunk on me. That means that if you do 4, 6, or 8 hours, you're going to be miles ahead of 99% of the first-time home buyers out there, the people that you're going to be competing with. You're going to have a master's degree in buying a first home. No joke, gang. If that's what you came here for, it's all there and it's all free. Informed buyers, they're jumping all over this frozen market. They're seeing the opportunities. One of the top mortgage analyst companies, they put out some numbers. They recently reported that last month, 70% of FHA buyers were first-time home buyers. 47% of conventional loans were from first-time home buyers. And 45% of VA loans were first-time home buyers. And here's another interesting stat. Recently in an episode, I don't remember when I did it, I found the average credit score for buyers was 733. We've got some more information now. For VA loans, the average credit score is 716. And for FHA loans, remember, where 70% of FHA loans last month were from first-time home buyers, the average credit score is 676. So there's some data and some math about what's happening. Now, let me tell you the very specific, the things that are happening within the housing market. Every market has different rules and tactics and things you can do differently. Here's some of the things happening in 2026 that is really exciting information. The math right now, it's identical to 2023, 24, and 25. But 2026 has some serious new advantages you couldn't get back then. For instance, negotiations are back big time. This is the biggest shift that we've seen in the housing market. Over the last 30 days, multiple publications, I looked at Zillow, Realtor.com, Redfin, and a bunch of other economic periodicals, because again, I'm a nerd. Here's what economists, reports, and housing stats, here's what's reported for 2026 so far. Seller concessions and flexibility are massively increasing. So you can get closing costs and the credit like that. It's becoming much more common. We're seeing first-time home buyers use those credits to buy down their interest rates. We're seeing homes sitting longer on the market. Now, what does that mean? More negotiating power for you. We're seeing price reductions. They're continuing to rise nationally. Well, a reduction doesn't rise. The number of reductions where the price gets lower, it's getting bigger. We're also seeing active inventory up, especially when we compare to last year. All that's happening right now in the middle of this nothing burger of a year. The housing market reports, they're statistically showing that there are timid buyers out there waiting for some magnanimous sign from the heavens. They're going to be stuck in their fear caves. All of these stats are showing us things are getting better for you, and now it's better for you with less competition. Millions of first-time homebuyers still want to buy, but they're waiting to hear about some seismic change in their favor. You can beat them to the punch, and you can get all these advantages. And here's some data to tell you that the competition you're going up against, it's easier than it has been. In March 2026, only 28.8% of the U.S. home purchases were all cash. That's the lowest number of cash purchases in March since 2020. And the big scary one, what about the investors that are buying up all their homes? Well, they're down 6% from last year, marking the largest decline since 2023. Let me give you some inside information on this. From 2020 to 2025, first-time homebuyers, you were majorly competing heavily against cash buyers, institutional investors, hedge funds, even casual part-time investors, someone who owns a home and wants to buy a second or third or fourth home. All of those people, they have pulled back significantly. And it's really simple to understand why. In 22, 23, they were seeing 5, 10% returns in 1 year. It's not happening right now. And then there's something else you might not have heard about. There was this big rise of Airbnb investing. There were these total D-bags, I guess I could call them, that were like running these, hey, you want to make money? Get an Airbnb. Don't buy your own house. Well, let me tell you, the rise and fall of the Airbnb investment scam, it's done. The numbers don't pan out anymore, and it is not happening. Several reports have been written about that. So for you, great news. The data is showing all these groups are pulling back, and we're leveling the playing field. We're getting into a normal, stabilized market. That's why we're seeing price cuts and concessions and longer days on market and less insane competition, especially in the starter home segments of the housing market. Meanwhile, the scared and uninformed buyers are sitting on the sidelines waiting for the rates to drop or the prices to drop, and that creates opportunities that didn't exist 2 or 3 years ago. And on top of that, there's another opportunity for first-time home buyers happening in 2026. New construction homes. I went into great detail on how to buy a new construction home in 490, but let me give you some of the updated information. Right now, new homes, they represent roughly 1 out of every 4 homes available for sale right now, which is more than double the pre-pandemic share. Inventory is up with new homes, and that means they got to make some deals. Here's some stats to wet your whistle on the new home opportunities happening this year. There are approximately 489,000 new homes for sale nationally right now. And okay, I'm going to give you this stat. Realtors use this dumb stat, and I hate quoting it, but it'll help you understand things when I explain this stupid stat. It's called months supply of inventory. It's this dumb stat they created. And what it does is it means that if everybody stops selling homes today, based on the current demand, how people are buying homes right now, if no more homes came in the market, how many months would it take with the current demand that we have for all the homes to get sold? And where it sits is 4 to 6 months. That's the dividing line. It's a balanced market in 4 to 6 months. Below 4 months is a seller's market. More than 6 months is a buyer's market. Right now, new construction homes, it's sitting at 9.4 months. Why am I talking like this? Oh, because I know what that means. Let me tell you how that ranks historically. 2022 was the best buyer's market for new construction that we've ever seen, 10 months. This year is the second best year at 9.4 months. Second, right behind 2022, and third, all the way back to the huge housing crash of 2008 when they were giving new construction homes away. Okay, I have data dumped on you. Let me give you what you can do. Here's what the smart first-time home buyers are doing right now to find affordable housing. You will get the full details in your 8-hour first-time home buyer masterclass degree that you get with the 16 episodes that I put in the show notes. But I'm going to give you a quick hit list of 5 things that are happening in 2026, things you can do that'll get you pumped up. Number 1, first-time home buyers, they can use seller credits. This is huge right now. A lower home price is not always the best negotiation. Sometimes getting a $10,000 credit back to you instead of getting a $10,000 lower price, it saves you way more money because it can cover your closing costs, which could preserve your savings, which means you can keep emergency funds. And that means you can keep from going house poor. You can also keep from going house poor by using those funds to lower your monthly payment with the mortgage interest rate buy down, or like I said, just keeping more cash in your pocket. The second thing first-time home buyers are doing, they are focusing on their monthly payment, not the purchase price. Best advice I can give you guys, stop looking at the purchase price and start looking at your total strategy, including what type of monthly payment that you can create with the guidance of a unicorn financial advisory team. A mortgage calculator might tell you that a $400,000 home is unaffordable, but with a first-time homebuyer specialized team, your loan structure and the negotiations from your realtor getting you that cash back, it could get you the exact same payment as a $450,000 or $475,000 home. Tip number 3 that's winning for first-time homebuyers: learn the real first-time homebuyer math that benefits more than the fearful, incomplete math that everyone's been teaching how to buy a home for decades. Post-COVID, this new math, it seriously should be a required course, some class that all Gen Z and millennials have to take so they don't get eaten up by this new economy. And I say that because average age of the first-time homebuyer is 40 years old. The first-time homebuyer number is dropping off the map. And it's not because of prices and interest rates. It's because people, and when I say people, I really mean the entire real estate industry, they're not teaching the solutions. They are there for you. It's not rocket science. It's math and solutions of a rent replacement strategy. But the greedy and lazy real estate monopolies, they're not teaching this to you. And they are definitely not training their professionals how to utilize this new world tactic, which is pretty much the only way you can find affordability now. And you can start building your wealth instead of sitting back and praying that somehow someone's going to save you. And I got news for you. It's not going to be the government. Fortunately for you, I started my career 20 years ago in a super expensive Southern California home buying market. So I had to learn right from the beginning, how do you find affordability? Been creating this math for 20 years, coaching and teaching it to first-time home buyers here and now all over the country. I've dropped it all for you here for free. You have solutions. You have affordable options. And it's time that you really knew how this math works and how you can do this. This is the most intensive part of the master's course that I mentioned to you earlier. So those 16 episodes, those 8 hours. Right now I'll tell you about the very specific ones that will get you the new math that first-time home buyers just unfortunately aren't being told. But hey, you can get it. Episode 426. This talks about low down payment options and strategies. Yeah, and I'm talking to you people with 25 or 30%, or I'm talking to you people with 1%. Because if you don't at least look at a down payment option that is maybe a little lower so you can keep more cash, then you're not actually seeing all the different strategies that you can utilize to not be house poor. Episode 440, the rent replacement strategy. It's the whole basic philosophy of this whole new math. Check out 440. Episode 443, what can I afford in 2026? Episode 457, are we in a buy or wait market? I actually recorded this a little bit earlier in the year, but as I've told you today, what's happened since I recorded it? Nothing. And in that episode, that's where I go over low inventory. I give you all the stats to explain how that factor is the one and only thing controlling home prices and why we're not going to see a crash and we're going to see this weird, 1%, 2% increase in home prices. And then episode 460, this is deep in the math. This is for my spreadsheet nerds. Love ya. This one's for you. I actually explain how the normal spreadsheet to compare renting versus buying is a 3-line item spreadsheet. But when you get the full math, it extrapolates out to at least 6, possibly more. Episode 464 talks about PMI. I could sum it all up like this. People tell you PMI is bad and too expensive. Those people are wrong. Fight me if you don't believe it. I have the math. And then episodes 469 and 470. This is for you people out there in the high cost of living areas that just don't think that affordable financing is available today. Not true. Those episodes have the math. Tip number 4 for first-time home buyers, things that people are doing in 2026. Use parallel planning. This is one of the biggest philosophies here at How to Buy a Home. I've seen this time and time again. First-time home buyers, they want to start buying a home. Maybe it's a year from now, 2 years from now, or 5 years from now. What they do is they pick one part of their finances and they tackle one thing at a time. Here's the big trick. Don't do that. Just don't. Don't do it. Don't say, I'm going to fix my credit first, and then I'll work on getting rid of some of my debt, and then I'll try to save money, and then I'll talk to a realtor and a lender to see where I am. That and then means you just paid 2, 3, or 5 years of unnecessary rent. All the while, home prices are slowly increasing. Doing things one at a time, this is how you delay taking control of your life, because you may not have to do them all to the level that you think you do. What you're doing is you want to create a balance of where everything needs to be and work on them all at the same time. What you want to do is run multiple paths simultaneously. You want to fix your credit score while you're learning about your debt and reducing your debt. and improving your debt to income ratios, and perhaps not reducing them all the way because you've gone through the process and you've learned maybe you don't have to still be approved for the affordable home loan that you need. And while you're doing those two things, you're also saving up for a down payment and closing costs and your reserves. And you're also, while you're doing those things, you're going to be researching neighborhoods and home options. All right. How the hell do you do that? How do you set the parameters? Know how much to do with each one? Cool. Simple. Tip number 5, get professional help earlier. Biggest mistake I see, people preparing on their own. They're using TikTok advice or Zillow calculators or Reddit doom threads or AI chatbots, or they're talking to their cousin's uncle's barber. Instead of taking control of the situation, putting the power back in your own hands, hiring real people early. Instead of asking for a higher level of service that they deserve for something this complex, too many first-time homebuyers think they have to do it on their own. 90% of the realtors and lenders out there, I get it. Maybe you reached out to them and you're like, these people don't know what's going on. Yep, 90% of them have not been trained on the new math and the creative solutions. And of the 10% that are actually trained and can tell you how to do this, only 2 or 3% of the experienced and knowledgeable realtors and lenders want to do this. They want to help first-time home buyers. A lot of the people that know how to do this, they've moved on. They're only working with sellers. So you've got to find that very small percentage of people that see first-time home buyers as a valued customer. I totally understand why you didn't think this. Oh, parallel planning. Cool. I'll just hire a team a year or 18 months ahead of time to tell me how to do that, because that's what everybody does when they buy a house. Yeah, you didn't think that because that's not what everybody does. This isn't the normal way to buy a home, but it should be. And this is definitely the best way for you to buy a home. So now you've got solutions, you've got the 5 tips, and you've got all the other information from this episode. And you know what? Nothing's happening. There's no crash. There's no giant rescue. There's no magical moment where mortgage rates suddenly fall through the floor and home prices become affordable overnight. What we're in right now, what's happening? It's a slow adjustment. Prices went up too quick, and now they're going to go up just slowly. And the sellers, they're understanding that and they're adjusting. The builders are adjusting, and the buyers, you guys should be looking at this and taking advantage. Everybody's adapting to this new normal, except for that huge group of first-time home buyers, your competition, who are still waiting for perfect conditions, for some sign that it's finally safe to come out. Do you know the safest thing in the world? Math. So check out those 16 episodes, get your master's degree, and learn first-time homebuyer math. Here's one thing I can tell you after 20 years helping first-time home buyers. The biggest mistake I see is almost never somebody buying a home at the wrong time. It's almost always people waiting too long to start learning about their options. So if there's one thing that you take away from this entire June 2026 market update, it's that you do not need to know exactly when or how you're going to buy a home to start learning all of your options to make that happen. You just need to start, because whether the market changes next month, next year, or 3 years from now, the person who understands all their options, they're always going to be in a better position to take advantage of any changes in the market than the person sitting on the sidelines just hoping that those changes happen. And this is truly why this podcast exists. I'm not here to teach you how to buy a home tomorrow, but I want to teach you how to create a plan so that when the right opportunity shows up for you on your timeline, you're ready for it. And if you put in the work, if you learn the strategies, if you discover all your options, and if you give yourself the gift of time to plan on this, home ownership, it's probably a lot closer than you think. You can do this.
Looking for more DIY education or your own personal step-by-step guidance through the home buying journey? Since 2019, How to Buy a Home has been the #1 resource for first-time home buyers. So visit howtobuyaHome.com to get started.